Alright, so here's some oil for the last stretch of the journey, as well as some comforting words. Now, I was not planning on making this video, or any video actually, on this topic, just watch by myself and with all the oil that I have, an extra oil that I have with me, and take a look if it happens to this year, or if it doesn't, then fine, we'll have another look in the springtime and in the other appointed times, now knowing all the new calendars and things, so it's going to be fine. But then I realized we have a lot of people, different kinds of people, all sorts of people in the body of Christ, and even in the bride community. And I realized it because I had a dream last night. So it was, like I said, I wasn't planning on making any videos, and I know we're still 14 hours away, or 14 to 16 hours away from the biblical sunset of the 17th in the Baker Island. But like I said, I had to make this video today, right now, because of the dream. So I'm just gonna go through the dream on a high level. So we were all in a caravan, it's a happy caravan, a lot of cars and a lot of bikes and stuff, and we were going in the daytime. We were all thinking, we know the destination, we were going for it. And then there came a steep downhill, and I noticed there's no one actually driving this. So I got down and pushed on the brakes, and then I started to follow a few people ahead of me that I could see, and they were going to a side street. It was a dead end, and I was looking like, oh, it doesn't look okay, it looks actually pretty dark, and so on. And we went to one of the buildings. It was a construction site. Everything was, blocked and dark and so on. There were some dumpsters there. And I was like, oh, these people must know. Are we just, staying around here for a little while? What's happening here? And people were not really telling me what is going to happen, but they were taking some sort of medication. I was like, okay, I don't know, maybe, we just hang here for a while and then we head on, and I was like, but I said to them that I have some information extra information on the Rapture, actually, meaning that I have some, extra oil to, sell. And they were like, oh, it would have been nice if you told it before we took this medication. But they were not judging me. They were just like, it would have been nice to know that beforehand. And they actually ended their lives. And in that point of time, the dream went back in time to the caravan, and then I woke up. So I interpreted it like, if I don't share it now, that might happen to some of the people, even in the bride of Christ. I mean, even though we are, just watching, and we're not, putting our whole life and everything we have and everything kind of on the line, like in a casino, like win or lose. But, if we're honest, we have people like that in the bride of Christ. So that's why I make this video now. So let me go through what I found and what I think, and if that blesses you, please share this to anyone that needs this right now. All right. So, starting from the beginning, I'm just gonna go through this path, so then you can see the story of the whole thing. So I think there's going to be 4 watches. Setting the precise date by Joshua, it was actually needed. We needed to have that date, because now the fields have been actually ready for harvest. I can tell it from my personal experience. This is actually true. This was the sense of urgency, something, many things would not have been done if it wasn't for the last moment. I remember this was one of my former bosses that said it in the working place, and this is absolutely true. Alright, so taking a few points from the Bible. So in 1 Corinthians we know in part and we prophesy in part. And there's a reason for that. If God told everything, because he cannot lie, he cannot deceive, but he can tell in part. And we get to know him now. We get to know Jesus through this process now. It's also one thing, it's a gift, it's a blessing for us to get to know him and how he works and who he is. That's exactly what we're supposed to do, to get to know him and how he works. Everything is there for a reason. We can be 100% certain on that. And the way he works is the perfect way to work. So we should just, stay humble and try to see. All right, try to find it out. It's an honor of kings to find out the matter that God has put in his word. All right, and in the 1 Corinthians 13, and now abideth faith, hope, and charity. This is from King James. I'll explain it in a moment, but this is from King James. These three, but the greatest of these is charity. And though I have the gift of prophecy and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and though I have all faith, so that I could remove mountains, and have not charity, I am nothing. When King James was written in 1611, translators chose the word charity instead of love to represent an active, benevolent, and selfless love that is shown through actions and good deeds. It was a richer, broader term than its modern counterpart and captured the essence of the Greek word agape, that's a godly love. And I think when Joshua put himself on the line and did what he was told to do by God, without even knowing everything about the calendars and everything that's coming up right now, God knew that he is strong enough to take it, and it's for the good of the whole flock. And we have learned so much. I'm going to go through all these 4 watches so you can see well, at least how I've seen it, and hope that blesses you. So first watch was the trumpets, and even before I heard about Joshua, I was looking at these trumpets. I was looking at it last year already. I was really staying up late and watching for the midnight in Jerusalem and all the things, getting ready. But if it had happened a year ago, many people would not be saved today, would have not been saved. So I think it was great to have this extra time. Yeah, like I said, setting of a date was mandatory for the sense of urgency. And there's other reasons as well. So the first night watch, as we know, was the 23rd and 24th, according to the Gregorian calendar. I never read the Book of Enoch before, but now I read it due to the latest developments we'll come to in a moment. But actually the prince of Gregorians is in the Book of Enoch is Satan. So we now also learned that the Jews celebrated the Feast of Trumpets according to this calendar. And of course at the time we thought, yeah, that's it. And we paid close attention. And then we learned that these feasts are not celebrated according to the Bible. Should be celebrated at the time that the Bible says, not what the people, humans say. Alright, but we'll come back to this Feast of Trumpets a bit in the next slide, so let's take it. The second watch was the moon, so the Julian calendar. And that was the 6th to the 7th of October according to the Gregorian calendar. And just for the simplicity, I'm going to use the Gregorian dates so we can all follow along. But this was, according to the Julian calendar, it was the 23rd, 24th. And it also made a lot of sense, because in the Julian calendar, this was a full moon, coinciding with the full moon. So according to Psalm 81:3, this is when the Feast of Trumpets should be celebrated, not the sliver of the moon like the Muslims do. Muslims worship the sliver of the moon, and there's darkness in it, and the full moon is. I know the word, the Hebrew word can mean new moon, completely dark, or clothed in darkness, or clothed in light. Yeah, I know. But yeah, this was the reason for us for the second watch. And it was also making a lot of sense, because it was a super moon. It was also a super harvest moon that only happens every 3 or 5 years when it's on October in the Gregorian calendar. And that's why it covers the hunter's moon. Usually it's the hunter's moon in October, but when the super harvest moon goes to that place, it takes the place of the hunter's moon. So another sign was there. So we're really looking forward to this date. And it passed. What we learned about, there might be other calendars. So then we started to look for the solar calendar. And that's the third watch, the sun. So this is actually still ongoing. All the time zones in the world have not yet passed the 17th. And as we know, he will come most likely on the very last possible moment to ensure most people are there. And, of course, the parable of the 10 virgins. We need to have that oil in the lamps. Yeah, but this 16th to 17th is the 23rd to the 24th according to the Enochian solar calendar. And this calendar based on solar cycles. It's every year the same. It's unchanging. This is how we should be following up on days and months every year, unchanging God's calendar. And I looked into it, and it also has a tight connect with the menorah. It makes a lot of sense for when the sun passes through the cycles. I have it later on in the slides. Yeah, and then we also learned about the Essene calendar, and that 2025 on the Gregorian calendar is actually the 5950, so the last Jubilee year before the 6,000 years, so the last, 6th millennium. So that's when the 7th millennium, so the 1,000-year rule of Christ will begin. So this year makes a lot of sense. We don't know the day or the hour, but we might know the month and the year, and I'll come back to that. But the month later. But this year is what I firmly believe. I might be wrong, and then we just wait for the spring and autumn. There might be something off in the years as well. Okay, so this is my take on the fourth watch, which I like to call the stars. So I know sun is a star, yeah, but now I'm talking about the constellations. So let me go through this. So I've listed all the dates according to the Gregorian calendar for clarity's sake in here. So the 7th of October, that was the full moon and the correct day for the Feast of Trumpets. Hence the new year started on this day. So counting from that day, 10 days as the Day of Atonement, so that's the 17th. And on a Jubilee year like this one, 2025, which we learned is a 5950, so the last Jubilee, there's going to be trumpet blasts all through the land. And I think we can all agree that even though the last time zone went by and the third watch did not come to fruition, everybody was watching really intensely on the third watch. And the next feast will be the Feast of Tabernacles, starting on the 22nd of October. It's going to last for 7 days. That's 29th of October. And then there's going to be the Shemini Atzeret, so that's the 30th of October. And now if we read 2 Chronicles 7, 8 through 10, then the following day, or the 30th or 31st, and then we need to take into account all the time zones again, that would be the last day. So circling it all back into a bundle under this fourth watch, the stars, I would like to refer it to the Gospel in the stars. So we have this 12 signs of the zodiac. That's the Babylonian corruption. The real one is the Hebrew Mazzaroth, which starts with the virgin birth, so virgin, Virgo, and then ends in the Leo, the lion of the tribe of Judah, when Jesus comes and reigns as the king forever. You can look it up, but for this intent and purposes, I'm just going to go through them real quick in here. So Virgo, this was the time of the first watch. It was a time of separation, searching, reflecting, repenting, becoming pure and holiness. Time of division. And then the second and the third watch have been here in Moznaim, so this is Libra. This is the scales. And this has been a time of testing, hearing, enduring, spirit, breath, life, revealing and beholding. We've definitely been watching during this time. And now the fourth watch is what I'm putting in here with the 31st of October in Gregorian date. That's going to be the 8th of the 8th month. So that's going to be in the sign of Agrab, that's Scorpio. That's the sign of rebellion. So Satan putting the claw on the scale. So this is going to be, from his point of view, time of rebellion, but from God's point of view, it's going to be a time of securing in place the defeat of Satan. And why? Well, it could be the first day of the 8th month. That's going to be the 24th of October in Gregorian date. I don't claim to know, but then yeah, on the 8th day would make sense, in a sense that 8th day is the time of the Pentecost, and that was of course in the 3rd month, so this would be the 2nd month from the new year, so maybe that's the 1 month quickening. And then I put in here 2 passages, so the Genesis 7 9 through 10. There went in 2 and 2 unto Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. And it came to pass after 7 days that the waters of the flood were upon earth. So after 7 days, so on the 8th day, the waters start to rise. So if the rapture is coinciding with the start of the tribulation, that would make sense based on this passage. The second is 1 Kings 18, 43 through 44. And said to his servant, Go up now, look toward the sea. And he went up and looked and said, There is nothing. And he said, Go again 7 times. And it came to pass at the 7th time that he said, Behold, there ariseth a little cloud out on the sea, like a man's hand. And he said, Go up, say unto Ahab, Prepare thy chariot, and get thee down, that the rain stop thee not. It's talking about Elijah here. Alright, so yeah, let's see what happens. I hope this information blessed you, and please share to anyone that needs this in the body of Christ.